Well, he has a big call to make now because he's got a year left on his Roma contract. He started, back in February, kind of coming out and saying like, well, I know I have a year left after this one, but, we need to sit down and agree a new deal because I'm not used to working with just a year left on my deal. We should go and talk about it now. The club, the Friedkins, I think to their credit, said, no, you got a contract. We signed your contract. We're going to pay you regardless. Like, we're going to sit down at the end of the season, see where we are, see if we're in the Champions League, and make a plan. And, we can go and have a conversation then about your contract. He kind of got all mopey about it. He doubled down on it several times. He said, I have to do everything around here. The club's not present enough. He wanted the club to complain about fixture congestion. He wanted the club to complain about referees. They didn't, so it was left to him to do it.
The thing is, do you think sixth place, 2 years running in Serie A is good enough for Roma?
Well, you could look at it that way. He would come back and say, respect. I won the Europa Conference League last year. I got us to a Europa League final this year. He can come out. He'll come out and say things. And this is what does my head in. I think Roma's net spend was something like 7 million, right, this year. So he can come out. He's going to come out and just say this, right? Talk about net spend and how they didn't spend a lot of money. Well, the year before, they were like the third or fourth biggest net spenders in Europe, right, in his first season. Yeah. Secondly, not a lot of net spend, but you signed a bunch of very expensive free agents like Wijnaldum, like Andrea Belotti, and you have, I think off the top of my head, I think it's the fourth highest, maybe third highest wage bill in Serie A. So, there's this constant sense when he talks that he's trying to manipulate you one way or the other in a not very subtle way. All that said, he has galvanized Rome. He's galvanized his fan base. They're happy. They're showing up at the stadium. They love him. And I think they're mature enough that they can see through his faults. If I'm Friedkin, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, he can be a pain in the butt, but he's like a lightning rod. The fans are happy. They're showing up. We're maybe not getting the results that we want to get. Maybe I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I can see that. If you got bigger fan base at the moment and more people are coming through the turnstiles, but you've got to be doing better than six twice in Serie A. You've got to be challenging the Inters. You've got to be challenging Milan.
Well, he would point out that without the Juve points penalty, then he wouldn't have rested his players, and he would have made a bigger effort. Like when the Juve points penalty was taken away, he thought, all right, now we've got no chance at top four. Then they reinstated the penalty. So now it's like, we would have had a chance at top four, but I didn't know that at the time. Hence, I rotated my team and rested my players.
It'd be safer to play your best players and try and get into the top four no matter what.
Well, here's my other thing, which I genuinely don't understand. This is not a Mourinho issue. This is a sports science fitness issue. Obviously, you've got a background in that as well. I get that players need to rotate. I get that. I do not understand Tammy Abraham at his age. For the past 6 weeks, Mourinho he's always played kind of the B team in the league, which is why they've dropped points, and put all his energies towards the Europa League, which makes sense. I don't have an issue with that. So as a result, this was only his fourth start in the month of May. So he started 4 games in 31 days. Pellegrini, I think this was his 5th start. Right, Pellegrini, I think started one other game in the last 3 weeks. Right? Why do you have to take these guys off? Why do you have to take Tammy Abraham off after 74 minutes, especially to bring in Belotti, who of course scored 0 goals in Serie A this season? Right? Why does his fitness just break down like that? Why does Pellegrini's fitness just, or does it break down? I mean, this is what I'm wondering, right? Because you're replacing good players with not good players.
The only way they could be unfit is if they haven't trained hard enough, because you just mentioned it. They didn't play that many games in the last month. So what were they doing in the training sessions? Did he say, there you can have complete rest?
They came off the bench in a bunch of games, but they didn't start. This is what I'm saying. It's like he purposely rested them for this game, and then he has to take them off for 70 more minutes. I don't understand it.
No.
Is something wrong with him? Is something wrong with their fitness?
Well, Tammy Abraham ran back from a set play. Suddenly, he'd been running around all day, and then suddenly started jogging back and making a fuss and all that sort of stuff. So he was almost telling the bench, I've got to come off. So he obviously was lacking a bit of fitness. And the same with Pellegrini, because you're absolutely right. When those 2 players came off, where were Roma going to score a goal? Unless it was from a set play. How are they going to get up the pitch? I wasn't quite sure because Belotti wasn't going to hold it up and he wasn't going to run in behind. They had nobody to pass it into.
The only way was a set piece, which is how they nearly scored with Chris Smalling.
ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.